and Anna, and Deanne, and Linda. Hey, Linda. So fun. Yeah, guys, if you have a question, let us know in the chat box. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm Brie. I'm one of the support coaches. And just want to remind you guys something kind of new that we're instating. If you have been coached either in a group coaching call or in a one-on-one within the last 3 days, we're going to ask that you hold off today, just so that we keep giving you guys space to cultivate that connection with yourself and with God and with other people in your life. So just keep that in mind as you're contributing questions in the chat box. But I'm excited to be with you guys here today. And Jenny's going to moderate. So thanks for being here, Jenny. And we'll go ahead and dive right in. So it looks like we're starting with Kristen. All right, Kristen, if you want to unmute yourself, that'd be awesome.
Hi, Brie.
Hello, I'm looking for you. Where'd you go?
I'm
If you
here.
keep talking, you show up. There you go. Hey,
Hi.
what's up
How are you?
today?
Yeah, hi everyone. Hi Brie. It's good to see you.
You too.
Um, I hope you're having a good day. I was just wondering if you could help me just understand the trigger that I had today.
Hmm.
Um, because I don't really know where it came from. It wasn't anything that really happened, but it started growing and then all of a sudden it was like a switch that just flipped, and and I woke up in a really good mood today. That's why I'm a little bit sad because I was really, happy, and I was having a couple of meetings. I was excited. I did my workouts and I did my coffee. Like there was a lot of good things, and then all of a sudden, it just went to you know, like almost like breaking point. Like I had to go for a walk and cry, and I was like, what just happened? And
Yeah.
I don't really know. Usually I know what it is and I can work through it, but now I'm like, that came out of nowhere. And
Yeah.
I know there's a couple of things like I can think about that it might be, but I would really like your input.
Yeah. Sounds
I
good.
don't know
Yeah.
if you want me just to tell them a little bit about my day or
Yeah, tell me those little points that you feel like are related. Yeah, let me know what those are.
yeah. Um yeah, so I've been in sharing in Alive and Free that I'm going through a breakup.
Yeah.
And it's been going okay. Um but I get a lot of messages from him,
Mm,
very negative, and I haven't let them affect me, but I think they secretly have. Like I've been very like, no, 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 they don't affect me, but I think they have, and
yeah.
I'm wondering if they're building up because like I have two waiting for me right now as I'm speaking, and so it gives me anxiety of like the next message I'm gonna get from him, right? And I've said, hey, I can't receive those messages. I'm here to call at this time. Like I'm trying to set up boundaries. But the one thing that's really getting to me is that I I get a lot of contentment and validation from being the kind one. So that might sound weird, but everyone's like, "Oh, Kristen, you're so kind. Like that's the one thing I like love about you." And I always like that's like a pride thing for me. Like I always want to be that person. Well,
Mhm.
it's a part of me. It's not something I just do because I actually that's a part of me, but he's been saying some hurtful things that's been attacking that, and I'm starting to question it about myself, which I'm not really liking.
Yeah.
Um, so when it all flipped today was after I had a meeting with someone who was just a wonderful meeting. I got out of it and I ate something that I don't think was really like good for me. It was lasagna. It wasn't something bad.
Mhm.
I could just tell my body was like, ooh, gluten and not fun. Um, and then uh, I was like, there's a need in me that's like building up. Like I can't really satisfy it. That's the way I describe it. So I was like, oh my goodness, I feel like I have to eat something. And I've never felt like that before because I don't mean to trigger anyone, but I don't really binge eat or like eat to, do emotional
Yeah.
eating. But today I found myself like wanting to go to the store and I did, and I bought a big chocolate and I ate it on the way home and I was like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Like I'm all for having a piece of chocolate, but I was like, I want to enjoy it, not out of a trigger. Um, and I was like, what's happening? Like I can't even. I had a really good day, and then all of a sudden it just flipped the switch,
Yeah.
and I couldn't really get it back. And I was going to meet a friend tonight, and I was like, I just had to cancel because I wasn't feeling. I would have come to that place, and it would just be a mess. And I was like, no, I have to prioritize this, and
Mm.
and I guess that anxiety of like, am I going or am I not going? And the time's going and I'm supposed to be there, you know what I mean? And then it just piled up and then I just went to buy chocolate instead.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Great awareness. Great awareness, especially of um, being in a trigger and noticing you're reaching for something you don't normally reach for. I think that awareness is so amazing. So, well done. Well done on that. I think it's really cool that you showed up for a call and just that you're able to put into words. This is what I remember happening today. Um, that's really good. I love how you phrased this. I felt a need building up.
Mm.
Felt like this pressure coming up, like I need something. And so the fact that you reached for something makes total sense. So yeah, again, I just really love your awareness there. Um, in this moment right now, and you can like close your eyes and settle into yourself if you need to, but I want you to describe honestly how you're feeling in this moment.
It feels like it feels like stress, like inner stress. Like it feels like even a couple of minutes ago I was making something and my hands were shaking and I was like, I didn't really do much today. I don't have a reason to have all these physical things.
Mhm.
Um, I guess I feel very sad too. I'm very sad that someone that has meant a lot for me for many years now has flipped and just said, you're a disappointment. You are
Mm,
this, you never were kind to me, and all these things. And I'm still struggling to get out of codependency, and I still have those tendencies. And I struggle with rejection hugely. And he's triggering all of those. But I know it's the right thing. And I know, and he also knows this. I know this is out of hurt. I know that I've done the right thing. And I know that I haven't lied or led him on. I've been honest the whole complete time. But he makes me doubt my own thoughts about myself. And now coming out of self-hatred for a very long time, I'm finally, like I was posting in the group, I finally see a little glimpse of hope. And that makes me so happy because self-hatred is a hard thing to be in. And
mm,
when you see those glimpses of hope, you're like, oh my goodness, this is working.
mhm.
And that's a wonderful place to be. And then, I'm in this great space and I see a notification on my phone. I'm like, oh my goodness, that just, brought me right back.
Mhm.
And I have to go back into that space of cultivating, positivity and things. And I'm like, I can't do that for
Mm.
many days because then and I don't want that to have power over me, what he's saying,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But there's always obviously a bunch of other things of like, living at home, and there's a bunch of shame things about, work and stuff like that. So I know there's a bunch of things going on,
Mhm.
but I feel very sad. I feel sad
Mhm.
that I'm not standing up for myself to him. And I feel, um, yeah, just this high alert kind of state where you're like, anytime now he can be messaging, or anytime now I'll get that trigger about sleeping in that room, or that like kind of like waiting for it. And I want to look at triggers like out of curiosity, and I've been doing that for a while, which has really worked.
Yeah.
But now it's like I'm a little bit scared of them because it's getting deeper the more I
Mm.
trigger. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, that's certainly one way to look at it is there it's getting deeper and that feels scarier. It's also kind of cool just observing from the outside how you're building so much safety and continuity with your heart that your heart's like, okay, I can release this now. I can release this now. Um, so yeah, I totally acknowledge that it can be painful, but I also think it's really a fascinating and beautiful thing that's happening too, where you're feeling safe with yourself. Um, and I wonder, I'm going to say what I think, but I want to hear if it resonates or if it doesn't. I don't want to put words in your mouth today, so just let me know. But I wonder if you've been experiencing a lot of connection with yourself inside of the pain that you're processing. And then when someone from the outside kind of pokes at self doubt, and you kind of start doubting who you are, what you think, what you feel, that causes disconnection with your within yourself, and maybe that's what you're feeling from that self doubt is like, oh, I can't even trust myself. So, oh, and you just kind of feel disconnected from you, and that might be some of the inner stress. Does any of that land?
It does. It does. Cause that, yeah. Cause that's the thing. Like I started this journey, right? So I'm not fully there yet. Like I can sense myself going like, oh, this is good. We're on the journey. But I can tell that it's very easy to pull me to the same, kind of crap thing again. I'm not like rooted in this yet. And that's why it's so easy to get pulled down, or it's very easy when someone says something, I'm like, oh yeah, here's that codependent Kristen who gets validation from you. So I'm going to go into that again.
Mm,
Rather than, no, I'm going to choose not to do that right now because I know that we have healthier ways of doing this and we have built, equity. And yeah, so that totally resonates with me.
yeah. So I'd love to go back to the moment in the store where you're buying the chocolate. Does that feel like an entry point we could see just to explore what you're needing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So even if you like reimagine, like, okay, I'm gonna get chocolate whenever you decided that, whenever you're like, I feel this need rising up, I feel that pressure, and I'm gonna get chocolate. I want you just to see yourself in the store like walking towards it. And I just want you to see future you come up alongside of you and put your arm around you. And she's walking with you. She's not stopping you from the chocolate. She's for you. She's with you, but she just puts her arm around you and she whispers to you, hey, what are you needing? What do you need? And just listen and see what pops up for you.
Yeah. There's a lot of like there's some things that pop him up. Especially the one thing was like community or like friendships or like sharing the burden a little bit because it is
Mm,
heavy to always carry by yourself.
yeah.
And I think my heart would love for me to not check in only for the big stuff, or check in when there's something wrong. Like I feel like she's saying like do the small steps with me, like so we don't have to end up in a bigger one down the road. And I feel like this has just been piling up for weeks now.
Yeah.
And yeah, and there's a lot of just sadness,
Yeah.
grief when it comes to that relationship, you know? Yeah. And then also the thing that I mentioned about like the kindness, like I'm just like so insecure when it comes to I want to be kind. Like, I want to, you know, have all these rules of like, what the Bible tells you to be and all that stuff. And I'm like, oh my goodness, if I'm not doing that right now, that just breaks my heart. That I sort of needed to hate him to find myself again,
Mm.
which
Yeah.
I don't really want to, but that's how I got free because it wasn't a good relationship to be in.
Mm.
I know that's not fair because he doesn't deserve the hate, but yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear a real desire for wisdom in this, and a desire for I hear a lot of honesty with yourself. It's really beautiful. It really is. Um, and you can keep your eyes closed. There's something you said that I thought was really beautiful, that your heart is asking for check-ins, not just when there's big pain coming up, or not just for the big things. I just want you to settle in and listen for what would an example of checking in with yourself in the small moments, what would that look like? What's something you could give yourself in those small moments?
Yeah. I I just feel like because I've been apologizing to friends a lot recently that I'm also fun. Like, I'm not always like a Debbie Downer or whatever. Like, I feel like I have to apologize for my space
Mm.
and apologize for my mood or who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like she's saying, like, don't disqualify all the sides that we have. Like, right now you have to give yourself a little slack. You're going through a lot right now, and um, I feel like she's just saying, in all the moments, I would like to check in, like,
Mm-hmm.
not only in the trigger and the trauma, but also because I've been um, sharing with the group that I want to explore the unconditional love of God because I haven't really understood it or really ever tried to be just saturated in it and tried to like experience it. I've kind of just, been like, oh, he loved the world, sort of, but not me, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she's saying, like, I want to be part of that journey. I want to be a part of all the fun too,
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it really feels like there's this great sadness
Yeah.
in my heart for um maybe not validating all the hard things that we've gone through the last couple of months. Because I'm very easy at like disqualifying my own emotions or saying like, oh, it isn't as bad as, or you know people have it worse, or you can't bring that here.
Yeah.
And there's a great sadness for me not I can step up from everyone else and love people, but I don't do that for myself.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm. It's profound. It's profound what you're sharing over yourself. You're speaking this over yourself. It's really been amazing to witness. What's one thing you could do today, before your day is over, just to signify, hey, heart, I'm with you in this. I want to take care of you, not just in the trauma and the pain, but in the in between moments too.
Um, I see myself journaling to my heart. So literally sitting in bed and writing like heart, this is what we did today, or like this was hard today, or
Mm.
like because I think stepping out of this relationship makes me feel very alone.
Mhm.
And I've been struggling with my friendships because they have partners and they're busy, and so I don't really get um, any close friends or like someone to support me or whatever. So I think it would be nice to build some equity with my heart, because then it feels like I'm not alone. Like I'm
Mm.
in this together with someone,
Mm.
and with like having Jesus also invited into it.
Mm. Love that. I love that. I heard a lot of validation in that thought about journaling with your heart and going over how the day was for you. Yeah. I just want you to check in with yourself one more time. Just see if there's anything else you're needing inside this coaching space today.
Yeah, I think I've just put a lot of my identity in being this like boundary free, kind,
Mhm.
selfless, person.
Mhm.
And I guess I'm scared when someone questions that, or I don't really, get validation in that area, because that's usually what I get.
Mhm.
So it's like I feel like my heart is saying, like, even if he doesn't think that, can we be okay? Like, you know, can we can I be okay even though he doesn't think that or feel that way?
Mm. Yeah. What do you think your heart's answer is right now? Can we be okay even if someone doesn't approve of me or says I'm the very opposite of what I've been told my whole life about my kindness?
Oh, that's so difficult.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm a recovering people pleaser, so it's like my whole body is just like, no, we need that.
Totally. Yeah.
But I totally know that that isn't freedom. Um, that feels like a cage to me, and that's not what I want. So
What do you want in this area? What do you want to feel and who do you want to be when someone approves of you, when someone doesn't approve of you?
I want to have the self awareness to really understand if I did something wrong, or if about the situation. I just don't want to be that person who's like, no, I never did do anything wrong, because that's obviously not true. I want to have the self awareness of that, but I also don't want people anymore to affect my worth and my identity. Like, I want that to be solid, not up for question every time I'm in a relationship or conversation, because that's really tiring.
Yeah. Yeah. Who taught you that your worth is on the table?
Performance was how I got validation from my parents.
Yeah.
And then with my first boyfriend, that was how I received love. So putting up no boundaries for myself and just giving
Yeah.
was, like stepping out of the desert. Like I finally received water. It was awesome, but it was
Yeah.
totally wrong and not sustainable.
Hmm. I mean, this sounds like growth. I'm really impressed, actually. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I guess, Brie, I have to be honest because I don't do a lot of encounters like this or like sit with my heart because I'm so scared of what's going to come up because I know there's a lot in there.
Yeah.
And I know that she really wants that, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And I think the wisdom your heart expressed of like, hey, can you be with me in moments when we're not dealing with pain? I think that that could be a beautiful bridge so that connecting with your heart isn't just associated with pain. Connecting with your heart is being fully alive, knowing what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and recognizing when you're not connected to that and reconnecting. It makes sense. I mean, it makes total sense why, if you're afraid what's going to come up, then you don't want to sit down and give your heart time. Yeah. Feel really compassionate towards that. And I think it's really beautiful. Again, just what I said a moment ago of your heart's desire to be known in the good times and in the mundane times too. So your idea of journaling to connect with yourself tonight before the day is over, could that be just a list of things you noticed today? The hard stuff and the good stuff? The ways you're proud of yourself? The ways you recognize you're responding differently than you ever have before?
Yeah. Um, I think that's what I have to do because I'm in the process of having self-compassion. I have never practiced that before. I'm very hard on myself. And I use shame as a tool to move forward or do things.
Yeah.
And I have done that a little bit a couple of, weeks, and I can tell that it's really affecting me. So I think that'd be wonderful. What are some questions that I can ask, like when I'm sitting there, when
Yeah.
I'm brave enough to do that, because I really want to?
Yeah. When did my heart feel most alive today?
Mm.
When did I realize I was disconnected? Um, we were on a team meeting yesterday for Alive and Free, and we had a guest speaker, and she was sharing some questions to journal about of just like how do I like how I showed up today?
Mm.
What were the moments where it didn't feel like me, or I didn't really enjoy being me in those moments? What was happening? Just as a way to reflect of like, oh, I felt so good in my own skin. I felt connected to my mind, to my body, to my spirit. What was happening, right? Just
Mhm.
taking notice and putting it down on paper of what were the conditions for that? What was I
Mhm.
thinking about myself? What was I feeling about myself in those moments?
Those are good questions. Yeah. Um, I just have a last question because when I see those glimpses of hope, that brings me so much joy. But how do I like reconcile, or how what does it mean when you feel like you're going up, but then you have a major setback? Or like today, where I woke up feeling good, had a good day, and then around, 2, 3, my day just like stooped down. Does that mean that I've been piling up? Or can it be, or is that just the part of the process? Because I don't want to shame myself for having, because I can tell I'm like shaming myself from not being, further ahead or whatever it is. And I'm like, no, 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 I don't want to do that. We're creating a new, healthier way to do this. Compassion. But I also kind of want to be curious and be like, hey, what does that mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great question. First off, I don't know. Just
Yeah.
such a bummer of an answer, right? But I I know that there's a tendency for us to think in our process that like, oh, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, right? Or 1 step forward, 2 steps back, or any combination of those things. Or I'm stuck. We have these thoughts. We have these very visual thoughts. If you think about it, these are very visual statements of being stuck. I can't move forward. I can't move backwards. I don't know what's happening. Or, you know, I I derailed my process or I got off the path. We have these very visual statements for describing that. But I've just found that doesn't help me. It doesn't help me actually move towards compassion or move forward. And there's something about me saying, this is a part of the process. Heather Boersma used to share with us a statement you can say out loud being, this is the part of the story where I'm really frustrated right now. This is the part of the story where I am going to go buy chocolate and I'm going to eat the whole thing. But I'm just saying it out loud. So I know this is the part of the story where, right? This is the part of the story where that stranger said hello to me and I teared up. Like, wow, I was deeply affected. Why? What's happening inside of me? I'm curious. Because I think we bring more suffering on ourselves when we think of ourselves as stuck,
Mm,
rather than like, oh, I'm in the process of this part. And I think it's hard to do that in the moment. It's something that you cultivate. But like, for example, I had a moment last week where it's like all of a sudden I had this like bird's eye view of my life, and I could see, and it wasn't this big spiritual experience. It was just like this sudden understanding of like, oh, okay, I am going somewhere. I'm heading somewhere. This means something. It matters. I don't feel that 100% of the time. To be honest, I don't feel that a majority of the time. And I'm not saying um, I'm your standard of measure, but just in transparency, like um, I think I get to choose how I feel about where I am in the process. And it's totally okay if we bump into shame and like, all of that stuff that we're not wanting to partner with anymore. If you bump into that stuff again, it doesn't mean you're going backwards. It's just like, oh yeah, this was a habit for my brain, a habit for my emotions. And it makes sense that it's being invited here again, because this is normally what I'd turn to. But we can make it mean we're 1,000 miles in the backward direction, or we can just go, oh yeah, this makes sense because I used this partnership for 25 years. Does any of
yeah.
that make sense or help?
Yeah, it helps a lot. And while you were speaking, I was just thinking, do I need to understand why? Like, why do you have that's my control talking. That's my need to understand every detail. And I think sometimes for me, I get so caught up in the why and not, the, hey, that's okay. Like, compassion, and then cultivate like this, you know, you're doing good. And like, I think I always want to be like, why is that? Because I'm like obsessed with being self aware, right? Because I want to be, yeah. So what you said really resonated. And I think just maybe sometimes just standing in the not understanding,
Mhm.
I think I will find more answers there than trying to control it.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, again, we can picture ourselves inside of uncertainty, and we can picture it as this deep, dark black hole. And I totally get that that's how it can feel sometimes. Or we can also go, when I was a kid, I didn't worry about, where provision was going to come from or how I was going to provide for myself. I understand there are some stories in here of trauma where that was a concern at a young age. So I don't just want to gloss over that, but there's a childlikeness that I think we're invited into in uncertainty. And again, it's how we picture it. Am I in a deep pit by myself, or am I being given the invitation to loosen my hold on the reins, because there's actually more to enjoy here? And what I find is that I actually lean into intimacy when I'm willing to look at uncertainty as something other than the deep dark hole, because in those moments I actually want to be little, I want to be a kid, and I want to know there's someone in the universe bigger than me, God, who's like, I got you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'll often, one of my prayers throughout the day is like, I'm so glad you know where I am. Like, you know where I am in my process, you know where I am on the planet, you know where I am in my head. Like, you are intimate with me. You and I are the ones who know me most. And I'm so glad about that, So letting it drive you to intimacy could be beautiful too.
I love that you said that, because that drives me away from intimacy. So I want to really start putting that in. And I've done that in the morning where I've said, Jesus, you're here. And that just shifts my perspective from like, oh, another day of being alone. I'm like, Jesus, you're here. Thank you, Jesus. And good morning, Jesus, or whatever it is. And that's
Yeah.
what you're saying. Like, thank you that you know that I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I would definitely start using that.
Yeah.
Love that. Thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. You're doing a great job. And just your process of like being in this breakup and being willing to walk through all the pieces of it and what comes up, it's really powerful. You actually are building a ton of trust and equity and value in your own heart and in your own self. So I know it might look like, have I ever built any equity with myself? But you are. Like, this is where we do it, right? In the moments that are not glamorous and don't feel like we're making any headway. Like, that's why these places matter. That's why he knows where I am. And that means so much to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're doing great.
Thank you, Brie.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing yourself here.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Kathy, you are next. Are you still here, Kathy?
Hey, Brie. Hey.
Hello. There you are. Hi.
Hey. I was just looking at my question and just kind of reading it over, just trying to articulate it to you.
Oh, wow.
um, Let me just look at it. Um, can I read it to you?
Absolutely.
Okay. I was at my the doctor's office a couple days ago, and they ask you a series of questions like related to depression, and one was, have you been feeling like you think you're better off? Um, Sorry, this negative, but just trying to figure out where this is coming from. That you're just what she asked me, if you're better off dead, and I was just like, well, yeah, I've had thoughts related to that. I said, but I don't want to act on it. And then when she left the room, I just like I burst. Oh shoot! I just When she left the room, and I was waiting for Dr. Ahmad, I just started crying, and I couldn't. Something was going on in my heart, and I just couldn't stop crying, And I was like, what's going on with that in my heart? I was trying to figure it out. Like, was that something that was spoken over that I heard as a kid, or I don't specifically remember that though. I know that my mom had told me that my that my mm,
Hmm.
my dad's mom had cursed my brother in the womb, when she was pregnant with him, and because he was raised in an orphanage, so he never really had time with his mom, but he wanted to call her when and because he was so excited about my brother. So I'm like, is it something to do with that? But I just can't seem to figure out where that came from.
Yeah.
And it just really hurt. I don't know if I need to break ties with that, or maybe that's related to my own depression. And, you know, I just it really hurts just yeah talking about it. But
Mm.
if there's anything that you could, that's the only thing I came up with as far as talking to my heart and trying to figure that out. If there was any more insight that you had,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. Thank you, sweet woman, for sharing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I'm curious about um, I'm curious about you, and I'm saying that because I think sometimes in our process, mm, yeah, yeah. I think sometimes in our process our brain is searching for a why, right? So it's like that's where the deliverance stuff can be helpful and can also kind of drive us nuts, right? Because we're
Yeah.
looking for the reason and the fix, right? Totally makes sense. So I'm going to ask in this moment if we can shelve the why, and I would like to like explore your heart, because your heart's saying something in these tears, and I'm sensing that it's a softness, actually a really soft sadness, and that the sadness you're feeling is valid. It's not unfounded. Um, does that make sense what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's not sure because it just was so weird. I just burst out crying.
yeah, yeah. Um, do you mind if I ask you some questions by way of exploring that?
No, that's fine.
Feels okay? Okay, just let me know, because I want to be really just tender with your tenderness too. So you posted. Do you think there's any connection with just that's a sad thought in general, that someone would feel that they were better off dead than here?
Yes, and I've felt that in my own um, just my own depression too, so I could identify with it,
Yeah.
and of course I've been a lot better, have the ebbs and flows naturally. Um, but thank God for this program and for being able to explore, what's going on. And but I think, yeah, just the fact that I had those thoughts as well, because I feel like I'm a burden sometimes.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
Mm.
And I really don't want to be negative, but at the same time, I kind of, I guess, need to be transparent too. I'm learning when I need to draw the line. I'm still learning
Me too.
what I need to voice.
Yep.
'Cause, I know that has power too. Our words have power, but I don't know. But yeah, it definitely is a sad thought, and even more so just because, yeah, I could identify with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and forgive me. I thank you for letting me be so vulnerable.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for your willingness. Yeah. Yeah.
I know God has plans for me, but I do.
Yeah, Holy Spirit, where is the tie to this recent moment in the doctor's office and this belief that it's a burden?
I know I felt like a burden with my mom.
Mm.
I knew she was doing the best she could, but I just feel like she had a lot in her hands, and I just felt like I've always felt like a burden, I guess. Like she didn't really embrace motherhood.
Yeah. Yeah. And at young ages, it's
So that's okay.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. How old were you when you first started thinking that you were a burden?
Probably, I'm gonna say about 9 or 10.
Mm-hmm.
Fairly recent after my parents' divorce.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I divorced when I was 8.
Mm-hmm. Have you encountered this version of you that feels like a burden?
Yes. And I obviously need to encounter it more. It's huge for me because I've always felt like that. I mean, I mean, when I was on my own, of course I didn't because I was supporting myself. But whenever I've lived with, I'm mostly where I'm at now with my sister, because I don't know. Sometimes she'll say I'm tired of supporting grown folks, so that doesn't make you feel very good.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my sister, and I understand. There's times where I haven't paid rent, because financially I just couldn't. And now I'm gonna start paying rent again, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it wasn't always about the money.
Mm-hmm. So I want you to ask your heart what the opposite of a burden is.
I want to feel that um a gift from God.
Mm-hmm.
I want to feel that, Brie, and it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's such a battle to be happy sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
That's good. I'm gonna write that down. I'm taking a lot of notes. Just call all the.
I'm wondering, you know how our brain moves things to us?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if for the next week you would like to start asking God how you're in situations.
Okay.
And I almost want to invite you to ask him to show you that, and then just pay attention throughout the day, and pay
Ask
attention,
him to show me that.
yeah, how you're a
Uh,
gift.
I'm sorry, what how am I a gift
Yeah,
and have him show me that throughout the day?
yeah.
Show
So
me that
I think it's a
throughout the day.
yeah. I think there's a I mean, God can communicate however he wants, of course, but I think there's a cool aspect of his voice where he doesn't answer us in words. Um, but he answers us later on as we're moving through life in a mundane moment, and all of a sudden, oh my gosh, there it is, right? So asking Holy Spirit to
Yeah,
open your eyes to the ways that you're a gift in situations in your life. It's okay that you can't see it right now. It's okay. It doesn't mean anything bad about you. It's not a reason for shame. Again, it's a call towards intimacy.
right.
Holy Spirit, I need your light to show me how I'm a gift in my life.
I need your okay. Yeah.
Does that feel like something solid, something you can like sink your teeth into?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not it's not a magic 7 day thing, of like you have to do it right for 7 days straight and you can't miss a day. It's not that there's none of that with this, but I would love to hear from you in a week to hear how this experience was. If it feels safe to you, I'd love for you to post about it in the group and tag me in it. Again, if that feels safe,
Okay.
and let me know about your experience over this week of practicing this.
Okay.
This can be a little bit of
Practicing.
like grounding homework in the midst of emotions coming up. It's so okay if emotions are coming up this whole time. Yeah.
And I think I can relate to Kristen with, I sometimes I just don't want to connect with my heart because I associate it with sadness. And I remember you saying, or with crying all the time and just, you know, sadness and grief and crying. And I think I remember you saying your brain needs that happiness too to be able to associate those encounters with happiness too. So that was helpful. I think that's why I haven't been able or wanted to connect with my heart because I associate it with grief and like, you know, so I think in the same, my point is, I think those same questions, like things I noticed today, ways I'm proud of myself, might help me associate with happiness again, like you told Kristen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also like paying attention for those little glimmers. So instead of thinking about it as just two options of happy or sad, thinking about it of like, hey, I felt really present today. That feels good. Or hey, I actually laughed at that commercial on TV. Hey, that's a certain amount of being present to do, right? Or like even now, your ability to connect with me in a smile, that's a big deal. You're not 100% depressed, right? You're not 100% sadness. And I please hear me when I say that because I don't want to invalidate either of those. I see those. But I wonder thinking of yourself as I am depression, I am sadness.
Yeah, I do. I just want to be happy.
Mm, I know.
It's like it's so hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have to, like you said, I think my brain just goes to all those negative experiences. And I
Well,
have to praise myself for the positive experiences too.
Totally. Totally. And just taking note of them, right? Not trying to force things to happen, forcing yourself to be happy, but just those little moments. Oh man, the hot water in the shower feels so good today. Cool. Okay. Just taking a moment to like absorb, oh, that was nice. That piece of chocolate tasted good. That bird singing tasted good. Oh my gosh, my friend called me out of the blue. Cool. You know, and not
Yeah.
forcing yourself to whip yourself up into anything, but just like, that was good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good. So good. Thank you.
I'm glad it's helpful. Keep me
Yeah.
posted, okay? I would love to know.
What's that?
Keep me posted. I would love to know how it goes.
I will. I will. I posted about the anxiety, and I had a team of people that I was able to commune with and relate to. So that was your last suggestion, and I enjoyed that. Or, it was very validating and affirming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got some love in the comments too, so be sure and check those out.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, Kathy. Take care.
Okay, I will.
Great. Kayla, you are next.
Oh, I need to take a breath. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Well, I'm here. I'm present. Stepped
Yeah.
away from the computer. I usually listen to these calls while I work and I take things in, but I can't receive as well because I'm multitasking. So I said, computer, go away. I really need to be in this moment because both Kristen and who spoke previously hit nails on the head with some of the things that I'm dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
But I asked God what my question should be. What's my heart feeling right now? Because I really had no idea. And this is probably gonna make me cry, and it's okay. It's okay to cry. Okay. If I make a wrong choice in my parents' limited frame of perspective, they shut down and they detach from me. So basically they punish me. So I connect that a lot of times with Father God, thinking that if I'm not in his will, that he will do the same. He will punish me or stop talking to me. What I wanted to do is encounter on this pain, but just like Kristen shared, I've been encountering only when I'm in pain and not when I'm actually just wanting to be or wanting to feel the goodness in my heart or just checking in. I haven't done that yet. It's only been for pain. So how can I practically change that motive with the encounters to help with this fear of punishment? My parents aren't talking to me because of who I'm dating, and who I'm dating, stop it. Thank you. Who I'm dating, I've actually talked to God a lot about, and so far I've been in contact with him constantly, and he hasn't given me any reason to not date this person. But outside perspective, people would look at him as a monster. He fears God. He has a relationship with God. He's just in prison for something he didn't do. And so it's a complicated situation, and I try to understand my parents' perspective, but they don't see what I see, and they haven't heard the messages that God's been giving me. And so they're not talking to me right now.
Yeah.
And it sucks. So that's kind of the backstory on what that question is about.
Yeah. Thank you. That's very painful. And yeah, who else can relate to this like punishment element in life, right? Whether you punish yourself or we're kind of taught by punishment, right? We're kind of taught by that, and I think that's how we learn to internalize shame and self-doubt, self-judgment, so that we can keep ourselves doing the right things by punishing ourselves. And a lot of times, Kayla, like you said, that's a withdrawal of something. Like, I'm going to withdraw my presence, or I'm going to withdraw love. And so just your tenderness to acknowledge like that's what your parents are doing, and it's painful. Yeah, I just want to validate that first, that that's legitimate. And I think we are all in our own way coming out of that understanding of I'm good when I do things right, and when I'm bad, I get punished, right? Like this has been a filter most of us have grown up with, and we filter who God is through that, and he's just probably very different from that, right? We all can kind of agree like he's probably not like that, but what he is feels kind of like unknown, right? Because we haven't felt safe to be that vulnerable with the Lord. So yeah, I honor your question. It's a good one. I love how you asked God what your question should be. That's brilliant. So you asked for practicals on how to kind of shift that fear of punishment inside yourself. So what is the opposite of learning by punishment?
Learning with compassion, as well as, I would say, like there's good and bad consequences. There's things that I learn from. It's not necessarily something that, I'm just getting my face rubbed in it or detached, but it's through compassion, through love, as well as allowing me to experience the things I need to experience. I don't really know how to verbalize that.
You did. You did. You did. Yeah. So I'm hearing you say there's predominantly compassion, but there's the reality of consequences of choices, and that those come together. Yeah. It's beautiful. So what is something practical that would let your heart connect with that?
Talking to my heart with compassion and validating that I have connected God to this. And even if people don't like me because of it, I'm not here to please the world, even though I want to so bad. Mm-hmm. My rejection, my fear of rejection, and the ways I react to rejection are definitely triggers for me. Mm-hmm. Talking to my heart and letting it know that where I'm at is okay, and no matter what, it's either a lesson or it's where I need to be. Not coming from punishment, it's just coming from further wisdom, further wisdom with God. Mm-hmm. If I wasn't on him during this, I couldn't even tell, like, mm-hmm. I'm so scared. I'm just so scared because I don't like losing people, especially my family, but they have tendencies to do many things that I'm learning how to break. The generational things I'm learning how to break. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I still want to love them where they're at, but I also know I can't allow that to constitute what God wants me to do in my life. Mm-hmm. I don't even know where that tangent came from, but it's what my heart feels.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I really just want to talk to my heart with compassion and try to view God not punishing. Like the Holy Spirit and Jesus are two people I can connect to so deeply. They're in front of me. I feel them. I see them. And I talk to Jesus like he's a friend. I say, dude, all this stuff. But God still feels so far away, even though I know he's here logically. My heart has not caught up to that. Yeah. My heart has caught up to he can be a compassionate father, but at the same time, not the punishment, but the compassionate consequences. He shows different things in my life for wisdom and not for, he's vengeful. He's never been vengeful to me. He's allowed me to go through things and grow from them. But it's there. It's not here. It's in my head. It's not in my heart at all. Because I look at my dad and I just connect the two. I never really had a father figure to like say that's how I want my perfect vision. Like it says in the encounters, that's how I want my perfect vision of my father to be, of Papa God. I don't have that because I don't have anyone I can even put there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes total sense. And I don't think you're crazy. Not at all. Not at all. Is there an older man dad figure, whether it's a TV character, somebody you don't even know, but is there some dad figure in your life that can provide an aspect of good fathering to you? Are you laughing or are you crying?
Yeah.
Okay.
I kept thinking and couldn't come up with myself, and then literally, as you said, a character from a TV show, bam, zap, it's the father from This Is Us. I can't, for the love of me, I can't remember his name right now.
Yeah, somebody type it in the comments. It's not coming to me either. I've just seen a few episodes, but I know what you're talking about, and I almost want to take. Okay, thank you, Dan. I want to take this situation you're in, and I almost want to like shrink it down again, not to invalidate it, but I want to shrink it down to like little girl and her dad size, right? So right now, your current reality is like, this is the biggest, hardest thing currently that's happening. But I kind of want to bring it down to like 5-year-old you and really good dad. And what would a really good dad say to you right now? And you can picture Jack. It's okay.
Okay. He would say, "Oh, 5-year-old Kayla." Oh man. Exactly whenever my stepdad came into my life. So that's just interesting. You said 5-year-old Kayla. Okay, fine. He would say that you are going to experience things in life, and logically, I am going to want to protect you because I don't want you to hurt. I don't want you to go through pain, but I know I have to allow you to have these experiences. When I come off defensive or assertive, I'm not trying to hurt you. I just don't want you to be hurt. I love you no matter what you do, who you're with, who you're not with, no matter any road that you go down. I love you for who you are. You're not too much. Oh man, this is hard. I feel safe. It's just hard. You're not too much. Your emotions are beautiful and they make you who you are. I just hope that you continue to lean on me so I can help guide and be that dad walking behind you in the playground, just making sure you don't fall off that jungle gym. And if you do, I'll be there to help you dust off and love on you if you do hurt yourself or hurt someone else. What? Spirit, Holy Spirit is in this right now. I feel it. I need that comfort. It's uncomfortable, and I need that comfort of both of them. He said, I love you so much. Always have, and I always will. It's beautiful to cry. It is fine to cry.
Oh, it is. I read a library book, a children's book this weekend that I'd love for you to check out.
Ooh, yeah.
And it's called Trying by Kobe Yamada. I'll type it out. This might be good for anybody who resonates with it. Kobe. I believe that's how you spell it. But that might be a really sweet thing for you to read. That gets to the childlikeness of us trying to be good and do everything right, and how that's just, it's not the game we're in on planet Earth. Most of us have been taught we're here to be perfect and get everything right, and we've got a heavenly dad who's like, I'm with you. I'll never forsake you. That means I'll never leave and give up on you and be like, oh, she just doesn't get it. He wants to be with us. He's chosen to be invisible so that he might be with us and that we might express him to each other. He wants to be with us in the pain, in the mistakes, in the success, with us. And I think, as we do inner child work, as we're in this course and things like that, and there's a lot of connecting back to the little girl inside, remember that you're connecting back to her to make it safe for her to grow up. I think that's what God as a father wants to do, is he wants to watch his kids mature. He doesn't want to keep his kids babies. He wants to watch them grow and mature so that they can experience more and more and more life. So as you're interacting with your little girl, as you're holding space for yourself, you're not going to force her to grow up, but you're creating a safe space for her to choose to grow up. Oh, I'm safe here. I can become bigger. I'm not stuck here at 5 or 6 or 7 anymore.
I like that. I needed to hear that, because that felt like it was okay, just grow up so you can get over this, fix that. Wow.
Right.
It's not the motive here. I don't need to be fixed. I just want to be. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Head likes to go different. My heart wants that. My head wants to go different.
Well, your head's trying to help you. It just only sees a piece of the puzzle. It's trying to protect you, right? And there's a place for that, for sure. Yeah. I think aiming for our future selves in terms of maturity rather than perfection, that's like, when you're little and you like see grown-up girls and you're like, oh my gosh, they can drive, they get to go shopping, when you're little and you're just like idolizing like, teenage girls or like women in their 20s, and you're just like, wow, like that same awe that we had then. Like we get to look forward and see, oh man, that maturity is beautiful. It's not about perfection, but there's a delight that a healthy parent gets when their children flourish, right? My imperfect parents, my very imperfect parents, right, will still tell me, oh my gosh, I'm in awe of what you've become. Like you started with us, but you've just grown and expanded. Like there's still a joy to their experience of me as I move on and take steps and move forward. And I think there's a joy that God is excited about as we grow. So we'll always be in the role where we're dependent on him. He's always going to be the dad. We're always going to be the kid, but we still get to mature. And what if that can be what we're looking towards, instead of like this concept of perfection where we never make mistakes, right? What if righteousness actually looks like right relationship? What if righteousness between father and son is actually the rightness of relationship, the most healthy relationship between the Father and Jesus. What if that is wholeness and perfection, and that's what we're looking for, not some like squeaky clean Listerine version of ourselves, right? Which is kind of boring if you think about it.
Yeah.
What about alive and like having impact and creating amazing things and experiencing delight and like that kind of life?
That sounds a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Prison to try to be perfect, and I don't want to be a part of that prison anymore. Something that was told to me was, how free do I want to be? And it was something I needed to hear, even though it's a little bit more assertive, I guess you would say. I really want to be free from this perfection, just mental prison I've given myself. I don't want it anymore.
Yeah.
It's purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. It served you for a time. It was a coping mechanism for childhood, and you're just outgrowing it. That's all. That's all that's happening. It's good. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you guys for hearing me. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great to see your tender heart today. Keep us posted, okay?
I will. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I'm gonna take a drink again. How's everybody doing? Emmeline is fabulous. That's so awesome. I'm so glad. Okay, Missy, you are next. Brittany, I'm here.
Hi.
Hey, Missy, how's it going?
Pretty good, I guess. I've been having a rough couple weeks, I think, and I'm trying to narrow down kind of what I want to ask about, because I just feel like there's so much going on in my mind lately. I feel like, I guess one of my questions is anxiety and depression, can that be a form of spiritual warfare? I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah,
sorry.
no, finish your thought.
I don't know. I feel like I keep getting really intense waves of it the past few days or the past week. And I struggle with anxiety, but I feel it more intensely lately than I have in a long time, because I take medication for it, which has helped so much. And so I don't usually have bad panic or anxiety without a big trigger. And I haven't had a trigger, but I've just been experiencing deep waves of anxiety and depression even lately that are hard to get out of. But then I have moments where I'm doing really well and feeling connected to God. So I just didn't know if that's spiritual warfare or how I fight that off. Maybe, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thanks for asking. Thanks for being curious. I can definitely share my opinion with you. It's not everybody's opinion. So this is the space where you get to take it or leave it, or take the meat, leave the bones. And I think we all have questions about, what's me, what's environmental, what's spiritual, what's, we're all learning that we're very, very intricate, right? And we're affected by things. I think the goal of life is to not be unaffected by anything. I mean, that's how I lived for a lot of my life, is that's my goal. No, I'm going to get the emotional health tools so that no one ever hurts me again. Right. No, I'm going to have all the biblical knowledge, so I'm never wrong again. Right. That was my way of operating in life. And so, but it doesn't lead to much life, actual living, actual enjoying, actual intimacy with myself or God or other people. So all that to say, you're an intricate being, and it could be multiple things. That being said, I want to be really careful in my own life about when I feel powerless. So spiritual warfare to me at this point in my journey, there's no end of learning with it, right? You can go and get really, really fascinated by the dark side And there's some really fascinating things about the mechanics of how the spiritual realm works and how darkness affects those things. It is fascinating. I started to ask myself a few years ago, though, like, do I want to be fascinated by the darkness? Do I want to be fascinated with Jesus? Well, I know the right answer is Jesus, right? But I found my brain really wanting to understand spiritual mechanics. That stuff that I learned, it never really resolved. It just took me into more learning, so that I always had to have a new tool. I always had to have more information or more knowledge. So I'm not perfect at this, but where I like to ground myself is how the spiritual forces of darkness actually work and function. I don't know. I don't know how they function. Are there things that seem to affect me? Yep. Are there other things that don't affect me? Yep. I really believe that the point of this course is self-awareness, so that you know what's happening inside of you and when something from the outside affects you, whether it's another person's emotions, or you're in the mall and you're feeling lots of things around you, or you actually feel like a demon has entered the room. Knowing what's happening in here, knowing where your wounds are and what your filters are, can really be clarifying. Okay, so there's that piece of it, in my opinion. There's also the piece of it where we really do have to engage with the question, do I believe that Jesus finished the work on the cross? And if that's true, then where am I seated with him in heavenly places? Now, I lose sight of that personally when I'm battling things or engaging in spiritual warfare. Is there a place for it? Yes. I'm not saying it's not real. I'm not saying it doesn't exist or we shouldn't engage it. I do think it's more powerful to see myself seated with Christ and to ask him, what do I need to do here? Do I need to do anything here? That's a really good question first. Do I need to do anything here? When it comes to you encountering depression and noticing what's happening in you, I think it's great that you've taken care of yourself with some medication. I don't think medication is wrong. It can be super supportive. So that's really cool that you're open to that and your body seems to be responding to it. I love your awareness around, hey, usually I don't have big waves of this unless I've been triggered. That's great awareness, really good awareness. It took some safety inside of yourself to become aware of that. So that's amazing. As far as next step with this, or how to think about your process, let me ask you, do you feel like it's your responsibility to fix the depression?
Sometimes, I don't know, it just feels like it's been a continuous pattern. I don't know, I just noticed this past week like that I've had depression on and off since high school probably, and it just feels like something I'm stuck in that maybe I won't ever get out of. I'll always experience this, and I feel like I haven't experienced true joy a lot. I don't know if I have thought of myself being responsible for getting out of it, though. It just kind of feels like maybe I won't, and that's it.
Okay, so that's fair, and that is one perspective in this scenario of multiple perspectives. So right, because there's maybe chemical issues that we don't see here, we don't recognize totally. So I don't just want to come in here and say this is the way to think about it. I think there's multiple ways to think about it. I am interested in, as we dive into our pain and uncover the real roots of things, do we start to see depression as a symptom of unresolved pain? That's what I'm curious about. So that's not something that you need to answer even today, right? But just you're already in a course like this. You're looking at past pain. I think it would be really interesting to consider, what if the work I'm doing internally, what if that has an effect in my brain chemical situation? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think like I haven't had like huge triggers lately, but I'm realizing some of my pain and like grieving that somewhat too. And I just feel like my mind gets really overwhelmed at times with like what I should be doing, either according to the world or according to Christianity. And that, like, I don't know, I feel shame because when I feel like I should be doing something, like it doesn't motivate me to do it. It just like cripples me instead. And then I'm still not doing it. And I just like become this big ball of shame and self-judgment and self-hatred. And I don't know how to get out of it. I don't know how to break up with that stuff and let it go.
Totally. Yeah, I so hear you. And I think in those moments it can start to feel like it's just always going to be like this way. It just always has been. It's always going to be this way. So I so hear you. Can I ask, are you in week 4 right now?
Yeah, I've watched the videos, but I haven't done like the homework yet.
Cool. Yeah. So I would love to offer my perspective. And again, you're powerful to agree or disagree with this. It's not like I need you to believe this or anything, but because I did the program myself 2 years ago and I've watched a lot of clients go through it, I see those first 4 weeks can be really like, it's like somebody like pushes pause on your life and it's just like you're like reeling, like, what? I've been using shame, like, and you're just like, everything's so vivid. Like, you're like, wait, my life was pretty good before I signed up for this course, and you're like, oh, because I was numb, and you're just like connecting with so many pieces, and it can be earth shaking in different degrees. So I want to acknowledge that first, and that being in week 4 and looking at shame and looking at judgment and looking at self-hatred, it makes a ton of sense if it's lining up with depression and your experience with depression so far in life, and you're like, I think it's just always going to be this way. I just want to say from the outside, there's 5 more weeks of the course. Like, there's more coming. We're not going to leave you in week 4. And I know maybe that sounds cheesy to say or like duh to say, but I feel like I want to remind you that in this moment, there's always more. There's always more healing. There's always more understanding. There's always more explanation. You're not going to stay here, but getting in touch with the shame and the self-judgment and the self-hatred is really important, so that we're not just moving forward in the course, just telling ourselves what to believe. We actually have to get in touch with, like, I hate myself. Oh my gosh. Like, that has felt true for a long time. Like, to get connected with that is actually where our heart starts to be a little bit more open to receiving the love in that space, right? We haven't felt loved there because we put the wall up. I'm going to hide all this self-hatred behind this wall. And maybe that looks like busyness. Maybe that wall looks like perfectionism. Maybe it looks like I'm going to be the best swimmer on my team, whatever, these performance things, when really the root of it is I freaking hate myself, right? So I think this is why God doesn't, we're kind of taught to pray, fix me, fix me, fix me. And there are radical moments where everything changes. But there's also been an internal process that none of us have seen, of that heart opening more and more and more and more to the Lord's love, which I believe is always coming at us. Like, we can't stop it except for the walls, right?
Yeah.
And I think God's love is so respectful. It doesn't push through walls like that. It waits till we're ready. So I've just talked a lot at you. I'm sorry. I want to check in with you, see what you're thinking, what you're feeling.
No, I think that's really good. And like the reminder that there is more to this program, like, and there's more healing, like there's more after like this step. I just think like I resonate so much with the self-judge, like this week, the shame and the self-judgment and self-hatred portion, that it just feels overwhelming so much. And I just like, I don't know, I feel like I'm constantly comparing my life to others around me, and I just feel a lot of shame and embarrassment that like I'm not like others around me, and I'm not in the same season of life. And I don't know, my personality is different, and I want to be like confident and like this is who God made me, and that's okay, like to be who I am. But it's really hard when there's not, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of other people like you out there.
Yeah, I hear you. That loneliness. Yeah.
I feel like I don't have like a lot of close people to go to. So that's been really hard too.
Which to me is an even bigger deal that you were willing to be seen today on a group call. It's a big deal. Yeah. So yeah. Brene Brown has that saying, and it's like true. It's not just, her trademark, but she says vulnerability breaks shame. And I'm curious what your relationship with the Facebook community has been. Has it been something where you want to post, where you don't want to post? How has that been?
There's been times like this past week that I wanted to post because I felt like really alone. And I just felt like a huge need to connect with somebody. But I also had like this thing in the back of my mind where like I struggle a lot with not feeling important and feeling like I don't matter. So I don't know, I convinced myself like it's not gonna matter like if I put myself out there, and it doesn't feel safe too a lot of the time too. Like I actually meet with like a group of a few girls like from this group, and like we meet weekly and talk about stuff. So that's more like of an outlet than the Facebook group. I haven't used the Facebook group as much. But I've thought about it, and then I like get past like my intense feelings, and then I'm like, I don't really need to do that. Like I feel better now. So I haven't utilized it a whole lot.
Yeah, I so hear you. And I love that you have a small group too. That's really cool.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting just to play around with this in the next few days of like letting yourself be seen in the Facebook community. Just because it was already something you were kind of considering and like curious about, and you don't even have to put any expectation on it of like nobody's gonna love me or everybody's gonna love me or anything like that, but just be like, I wonder if Brene Brown's right. Does vulnerability break shame? Like, I don't know if she's right. Like and just letting yourself be seen like, oh, I hate myself right now. This is what's coming up. And if you know what you need in that moment, saying, if anybody can give me validation, if anybody can give me words of comfort or words of encouragement, like saying what you need and just practicing that. And if you don't know what you need, that's no problem. I don't need to put words in your mouth. But does that feel like something that you'd be intrigued about trying this week with the Facebook community?
Yeah, I think so. Cause I think I do need that validation sometimes. And I just like, it always feels like such a burden. Like when I was having like a rough time this week, like I wanted to like even have somebody to reach out to, like one of the girls in like the smaller group that I'm a part of. But then I feel like they have all of their own issues. Like they don't need me to come to them and need something from them when they are needing things as well. So yeah, I think I will try to post something in the group though.
Totally, yeah. And I love how you're just even like able to voice that, like, oh yeah, I just feel like, well, they have their own stuff. I don't need to mix up in that. I don't need anything, right? It's like I hear where you're coming from, because I said that stuff too. Like my whole conversation with me and the Lord around needs. I mean, this has been going on for 2 years, and I've been like slowly like, okay, I have them.
Mhm.
All right, what do I do with them? Okay. You know, like, but it's been a long road for me actually being like, yeah, I do have needs.
Yeah.
So just letting yourself be wherever you're at in that process and engage with that and be like, I don't know, Brie said I should try, posting in the Facebook group. I don't know. I'm just gonna try it. Like, just see what happens. It'd be interesting to hear from you what your experience is there.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Was this helpful?
Very. Yeah, definitely. Even just to have like an outlet to speak about some of the stuff that I've been going through has been really helpful.
I love that.
So
So pay attention to that everything that transpired between us, it was most helpful for you to expressively share. That's
Yeah.
really good to know about yourself. I think that's pretty common to humanity, but until we actually own that, oh, that was actually helpful for me to get this out,
Mhm.
and we just think, oh, it's just a human thing. But no, we need to know, oh, that was really helpful for me, Brie Aronson, Missy Thomas, to say stuff out loud. And then you give yourself that. And sometimes that looks like posting in the group. Sometimes that looks like talking to yourself on a recording, just out loud, or talking to yourself in the car, like, I need to say things out loud. I need to call a friend, whatever. So it's okay to give yourself that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Take care, Missy.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right. Emmeline, you are next.
Hey, sorry, hang on just 1 second.
Am I saying your name right?
Yeah, you said it, yeah.
Yay.
I think this is our first call together. So hey, Brie.
That's so fun. It's great to
You
connect.
you can call me Emmy. That's much easier.
Okay. Sounds good, Emmy. Awesome.
Yeah.
What's on your heart today?
So I think I just wanna talk about just like specifically encounters like with God. Well, um yeah, before I say anything too, I just want to say I'm like really encouraged by your process. Just like encourages me so much. You'd mentioned that you did this program 2 years ago, and that's so like there's so much wisdom that's constantly coming out of your mouth. Like I'm like scrambling to write everything down so fast, and it just helped. Like that is just so encouraging to me because I think I've felt a lot of discouragement lately with like uh, one of the other girls said this, I can't remember who it was, but just like feeling stuck, or if things are always going to be this way. I know that's not true, but so I just wanted to say that. But
Thank you. Thank you.
of course, but I think the thing I've been struggling with since I've started this program, and especially since I've like, worked through the videos and the homework and stuff, I still feel I don't really know how to explain it because I feel very, very close to God. Like I know that He's like the only thing that I need, and I thought I'd felt very close with Him, but I almost feel like our relationship lately has been, I feel Him like wanting to be more intimate with me, but then I'm projecting like all of this, like every feeling that I like have towards a guy, like when it comes to like sex or like my body being seen, or I don't really know how to explain it. I just know that like I feel those exact same things like with God, and I've tried to like um I've tried to just like push through it, but it's like making me feel it's like making me hate him, and I don't know, logically, like, I don't know how I can even, like, experience those things with, like the one who created me, but I don't know how to get past it, and I'm having a really hard time just, like, connecting to my heart because I can't connect to him, and yeah.
Yeah, this is really tender. Thanks for sharing it.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I'm hearing you and understanding you. Is it that you're craving a deeper emotional connection with God and you're not feeling it, and so that's what's disappointing? Or is there more to it? Can you bring more language to that?
Mhm. Um, I think the emotional part I resonate with because I think you had said something earlier where you were like, well, God's not always going to respond in words. Like he likes to show up like at the perfect time in like nature and through people and to show you what you're worth. And I don't really know, but like I've felt a lot of frustration lately with just like if he's not going to respond to me instantly when I'm like begging him to, then like I don't even want to try. So I like feel that emotionally, but then I think the biggest part of me feels like physically. Like I and I don't know if this is even like okay to talk about or not, but I almost like this is something that I'm like struggling with. I don't know if it's like something that God is like asking me to to do because he wants more like intimacy with me or he wants to show me part of himself that I haven't known before. But um maybe it's me just like searching for that with him. But I almost feel um like if God can pursue if God can satisfy like every part of my heart and every one of my needs, then that must mean like everything sexually too. This is gonna sound really weird. I don't know how
Yeah,
to explain
yeah,
this,
go ahead.
but I don't like feel like God is asking me to like present myself in a sexual way at all. Like, but I do feel like he's just wanting like my physical body to like be comfortable around him or like to just like not have um like shame or to not like and I can't like I don't really know why I feel that, but I just like I feel like he's doing it in a way that like David danced before the Lord, and I feel like I feel like I want to do that because it's gonna like be healing, but then it like I cannot think of him without like thinking of a physical man, and with that like includes like every bit of pain that I felt like with a man. And so I just don't really, and I think because I feel that, like, because I feel like every time I want to spend with him, he like wants to heal those places, then I'm just pushing him away and I'm like resenting him for that, if that makes sense at all.
Yeah, yeah. I'm so grateful you're willing to voice this because I think there's actually probably more people who can relate to this than not relate to this. And
Hmm.
it sounds very deep. Like when I watched you get emotional when you said um, just how much you're wanting to connect with him, like physically, and how he wants to heal those places in you that you've experienced pain physically with men.
Hmm.
That there's a depth to that is really amazing and really beautiful, and your willingness to put that into words, and even at the beginning you're like, I don't know if I can say this here, like your willingness to even bring it up, like that's so cool. It shows a lot of safety with yourself and safety that you're extending to the group to bring
Mm,
up here.
mm,
So I just really
Thank
want to
you.
validate that. Yeah, that this journey you're on is important and it matters. And I don't know where it's going either. I wish I could say, oh yeah, I've seen this before. This is what, you know. In general, I mean, I have some thoughts coming to mind and I can share them with you. Again, like I've said before, you can take them or leave them. This is not like how it is, but when we go back to intimacy and physical intimacy and remembering that we were like created to be naked, right? Like in the garden, like, and it wasn't even a sexual thing. It was that so unhindered, so open, so known, so seen, full of light. Like that's how you were created to be. And so the worlds and our experiences have warped that and made that mean a whole lot of things. But I think there's a really deep, beautiful, pure desire to know and be known by God, by a man in a really safe, healthy, good way.
Yeah, I feel that so much.
Do you feel pretty connected to your body throughout the day, or does it feel like you're not really in your body throughout the day?
I feel like I really have a hard time connecting like to my body. Like I feel like the only time I can like start to connect like is I guess kind of like just in a negative way, like when my body like forces me to connect, like through anxiety or through like me feeling like I'm gonna pass out, or like, you know what I'm saying? It's not really in a good way, but it's just like those things make me feel like, oh, like I need to like do something about this, or yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, let us know in the chat, everybody, like if you don't typically walk through life feeling connected to your body, right? Aspect of what we're all learning, right? To be myself, not just in pain, also in the other types of moments, the pleasure, the mundane, all of that. So I think that's so interesting how you're like, oh, I listen to my body when it's yelling, right?
Screaming. Yeah.
That was the word that came to me, but I toned it down. But yeah, when it's screaming at me, then I'll listen. Like I've hated my hunger for years. My hunger is a sign of need. My hunger is the sign of I'm probably going to binge anyway. I hate this, right?
Yeah.
My body's sending me a really good signal, and I'm the one that's made it mean something bad, right? So
yeah.
so there's likely like many layers of things that God is doing. I heard this quote once that like God's always doing like 10,000 things in us and we're probably aware of 3 of them, you know? So I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that sounds accurate. So it sounds like there's a lot of layers of like him drawing you to know him more, you feeling comfortable in you getting in touch with your body, you feeling safe, healing past wounds with men. Like there's probably multiple layers going on. And what if you just get to show up for it? And what if, like, I don't know why I'm going here, so let me know if this resonates or it doesn't.
Okay.
But like, you have a no. You have a no. I feel like that's what I want to share with you is like you have a no. And if there's part of what you're being drawn into that you're like, Lord, this is scary. Like, no. like you get to say that. Or if you're like, your heart's in alignment and you're like, yeah, what are you trying to show me here? What are you revealing to me, about you? Like, yes, like I just feel like there's some aspect of this where you feel like you're going to be diminished by a man or by God. You're going to be taken over and you're not going to exist anymore, and you don't get to say yes or no. Is that resonating, honey? Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that so much. And I feel like I'm almost like I think because of like so many situations with men in the past where I felt like I like couldn't, like I didn't have like a choice to like say yes or no. Like I am like screaming at him like no, like any bit of intimacy. Like this is just an example, but like at the very end of like week 9 video, like the week 9 video, Spencer like prayed over us and he just said like I pray for your heart, like for you to be open and to accept love. And I literally like felt a voice in my heart saying, no, I hate you, no. And it's like I have all these tools and I have all this like head knowledge of like what I need to do and how I need to connect. And yet I'm still like hating God, hating myself. And I'm just like, I constantly feel that. Like, it's almost like I'm just screaming at him, no, like in whatever way he wants to like find me and be intimate with me. Like, no, I don't want that. And I don't like, I'm having a hard time reading my Bible. I'm having a hard time listening to music. I'm having a hard time. And I think that's why I'm so quick to shut down myself and my own heart, because I just like all that I feel is that word, like no. And I don't really know how to like, and then I'm frustrated with myself because I'm like, I know all these things are good for me. Why can't I tell my body that? Like, why can't I just be open? Like, I don't know. But I definitely resonate with like what you said.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of really valid reason. Where all those lines cross of like body, soul, and spirit. Like, we can talk about those things all day long, but a lot of them are invisible. So how it works, I'm not necessarily sure. But the fact that you feel a drawing from God and also resistance, like for me, this is a moment where I'd go back to like, where I am.
Mm.
Know where I am, God.
Mm.
Exactly where I am.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there right now on trauma and how it's stored in the body. So some understanding at that level may be helpful to bring in compassion for you. That book called The Body Keeps the Score, and just
Yeah.
our body is our record, right? Like the way we
Yeah.
ourselves, the facial shape, that like it tells a story. And so that might bring some compassion, some self-compassion, if you understand that a little bit, that your body's not just something to fix and come on, be fine. I mean, I think it's really interesting that your brain is making the connection between past men and God. I don't know what's happening exactly there. I know logically that God is good and he would never want to hurt you or overwhelm you in a negative sense. So knowing that, I'm curious about what filter is making his presence feel scary. Because knowing his character, that's what he wants to touch, is this interpretation of him through the lens of past men. I know you're very aware of that. That's what you expressed at the beginning. So yeah, I just would love to invite you into a moment where you you connect with with Holy Spirit, and
Mm.
ask if there's a little baby step you could take today towards love and away from fear.
Do you want me to do that now, or are you
Yeah,
talking
just take a
okay.
moment, and there's no pressure. Just let me know what you sense or see or feel.
Okay.
Just what's the next little baby step for today?
God, I just want you to show me what the next step is that you want me to take today. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm just like really shaky. I'm not
Yeah,
really.
that's okay. That's okay. Not at all. It's not a problem. Not a problem at all. I know that can after I mentioned it, I thought maybe this isn't the best scenario to do it. So thanks for being open and willing. I just want you to know that your prayer matters and just be
Mm,
listening throughout the day. What's my
mm,
next little step?
okay. Yeah.
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 I think today mostly I just want to honor your courage and your willingness to be seen in this. Uh,
Mm,
and I acknowledge, yeah, logically, God is good. Yeah. But your body and your soul are catching up to that, right?
mm,
So
yeah.
your spirit knows him. Yeah, your spirit knows him and has known him. And your soul, your spirit talks to your soul, right? Your heart, your
Mm,
mind, your will, your emotions. I'm right here because this is kind of the center of all that. And then your soul informs your body of what's true, right? So that's kind
mm,
of how it flows through us. So just know that God does know where you are. Your
mm,
vulnerability here today has been stunning,
mm. Thanks, Brie.
absolutely. And this process matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, your acknowledgement of, okay, I'm projecting this pain onto God, and I have a reason for it. I have reasons for it. Like acknowledging that today can be enough to give your
Yeah.
heart some validation so that it can soften towards being open to whatever amount of love it can let in.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for that.
You're so welcome. You're
And I'm
so
glad you mentioned that book too, because I don't even remember what came up, but I randomly saw it when I was like online somewhere. What was the name of it again?
the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Body Keeps the Score
The
by
Body Keeps the
Bessel van der Kolk. Yeah, it's in the
Okay, yeah.
comments
Yeah.
there. Yeah. Um, and give yourself permission to skim it too, to just get
Mm-hmm.
a general idea. You don't have to, if that is supportive to you, just to skim it and get an understanding, or just look him up on YouTube, listen to some videos.
Okay.
Wherever your heart wants to choose into is good. But just kind of giving, I think it gives yourself an understanding of like, oh my gosh, my body is actually always working for me.
Mm.
So this
Mm.
protection that you felt, or this resistance, there's reason for it.
Mm.
We also have a series called The Body Talks. It's in, if you go in the guides unit,
Mm-hmm.
it used to be called units. You scroll down towards the bottom, we have bonus material, and there's a
Mm-hmm.
4-part talk on the body and just building connection with yourself. And yeah.
Yeah, I saw those. I actually meant to go over those. That's something I'll do for sure.
Okay. So cool.
Thank you, Brie.
You're so welcome. Keep us
This
posted.
was so good.
I'm so glad. Awesome. All right, ladies, so good to be with you and hold space with you. Again, even if you didn't ask a question today and you were just here, thanks for your presence. It matters. I really want you to know that you being here and being for who's ever being coached and being willing to receive from whoever's being coached is a beautiful thing. So it's amazing. We're going to keep this room open for another hour. If you guys